Okay, it's time to get your alts leveled up. Today we're covering the 10 through 60 range, so right after your starter zone, and this is going to be the perfect video for those who are just looking to get a whole bunch done before the expansion kicks off, or of course, if at any time in the future, you just want some alts. So, let's get stuck in. First up, I've got to cover the things that are different because several things have changed for Dragonflight, and it's good news for levelers. So first, Blizzard have massively squished XP requirements. This makes 10 through 60 significantly faster. And while a few levels take marginally longer, you can see the graph really kicks in at the 30s, right, where XP is just demolished. At levels 50 through 60 have in fact got a 75% decrease, meaning they're 4 times faster than before Dragonflight. So all told, 1 through 60 has been nerfed by 56.9%. That is absolutely humongous, and it synergizes fantastically with what is already the fastest leveling route currently in the game. Now, this change kicks off November 15th, as does this next change. Chromie time. So the Chromie time system will be extended to level 60, meaning you can level 50 through 60 in any expansion. Previously, you had to do that in the Shadowlands, which was a total drag. The Threads of Fate mode was still something that ended up being quite slow. So all of this is good news. Getting into Dragonflight itself, then, to cut a long story short, it is a much more alt-friendly expansion in terms of endgame mechanics, and the importance of professions will, of course, reward you having alts a little bit more, but not as much as today's sponsor, us. It's us. Look, our patrons are a massive part of making this all possible. And here is this month's loot, and there's also a special, so you get even more. It's a hell of a lot, and it's all from our game development team. But hey, there's more. We've also got the Lore Walking podcast, where you will find hours of in-depth lore content, early access, of course, to upcoming videos, a few of which are there now, and it is the best way to help us out, and you get cool stuff in return. So, patrons, thank you, and if you would like to join up, then you can click that link below. The next thing applies for like the next fortnight, and that is the Winds of Wisdom. It's a 50% XP buff that will be active until November 15th. Now, of course, the changes I just mentioned, that's when those kick in. Now, if you look back to the graph, you can see that until the late 30s, the 50% XP buff will actually be faster than leveling once the XP buff goes away, and Dragonflight's XP rebalancing actually kicks in. So it's only really impactful for levels 50 through 60, and that basically means that if you're watching this video before November 15th, then I'd recommend getting your characters to like level 40 or level 50, and then waiting until November 15th before doing 50 through 60, because it will be blisteringly fast and will be something you can do in any continent. And that brings me to the big question. Okay, the fastest place to level, bar none, is Draenor. Draenor zones feature a leveling campaign that does a really good job of routing you around the different zones, letting you pick up side quests and do bonus objectives, which themselves reward a fairly massive chunk of experience. If you play well, you will hardly believe how fast you'll be able to level up new characters. Now, to start doing Warlords of Draenor, just go up to Chromie and you'll be able to select Warlords of Draenor, and once you've got that breadcrumb quest, the rest of it is handled by the game. So it is just absolutely fantastic for leveling up new characters. The intro experience itself is quite fast, it's quite XP dense, as is both of your starting zones, and especially the zone of Gorgrond, even with it being nerfed quite a bit in the past. The last time I did this, I actually experimented with a few other zones and expansions, but my overall conclusion at the time was that Warlords of Draenor would be by far the fastest, and that still is my conclusion. And that being said, Redridge Mountains, Loch Modan, Tirisfal Glades, Silverpine, and Hillsbrad Foothills are all extremely fast zones if you have flying, which you unlock at level 30. And that's because those, like Warlords of Draenor zones actually, were very much designed for ground mounts first, and that means that the quest density with flying is just extreme. Going back to WoD though, the Horde starting zone of Frostfire Rage is a little bit slower than Shadow Moon, but overall this won't really be a problem, especially because our characters are going to, they're going to hit extremely hard with the setup that we're going to make. Now, in terms of the actual route, look, I could sit here for like 20 minutes and narrate the route to you, but in reality, there is an add-on that does this far better than I ever could. That add-on is called Azeroth Autopilot, so you'll just want to install that. It looks like this. It guides you around the place. It will take you through a travel time optimized route of each zone. It's impossible to beat. Okay, so now that you know the Dragonflight changes and you know where you're going to be leveling, let's make our leveling faster by making our character an unkillable god. Okay, heirlooms, right? Heirlooms are awesome items that will scale as your character levels up. So you'll want to, go into your main character, unlock the heirloom gear, and you'll want to, of course, upgrade that to be, up to level 60. Now, heirlooms as of Shadowlands no longer grant you bonus XP. Now, this is a change that Blizzard made because they already made leveling faster anyway, so it would have been ridiculous if heirlooms gave XP. But the thing is, they're still great. So here's the heirloom set bonus, and you'll notice that the 2 and 6 piece bonuses each give you a 30% decrease to rested XP consumption. That essentially means that your rested XP will last far longer. This can be super impactful, great for your leveling time, so I would use them. Now, this is especially the case if you're making a few characters that you want to level, because if you are doing that, at least create those characters first, log them in, and then log them out at an inn, so that while you're playing your main or leveling another character, those characters will be in the inn, gathering up rested XP. Now, if you do that and use heirlooms with all that rested XP, you really will be leveling very quickly. Heirlooms will also make you very powerful, because they scale with your level, as do the enchants that you can put onto the heirlooms. So you can enchant your heirlooms. Those enchants will scale with your level, and especially at the start, they will make you an utter god of death. So generally speaking, elemental force for your weapon, mark of the satyr for your neck, and then just whatever your ideal secondary stats are for the other slots. These will make you super powerful early on. You'll be able to demolish mobs basically just by looking at them. And this means you'll just be blasting through the quests at a crazy pace. Some other tips then. So, there are 2 XP boosts in the game right now. One of them is from activating War Mode. Now, War Mode is quite handy because when that's activated, you will get an XP boost, usually around 20%. Blizzard's intent is that is to make up for how PvP being active would usually slow you down. But ultimately, most people turn War Mode on for the XP boost, so even if they are of the other faction, they'll probably just ignore you. And also, when you've got War Mode on, you can use your PvP talents. And some of those PvP talents are actually super, super powerful. That will, of course, depend on your spec. Okay. The other level boost in the game is a 10% XP boost potion from the Battle for Azeroth service medal vendor. If you happen to have a whole bunch of service medals just lying around. The next thing then is mounts. So mount levels do actually change. They did change with Shadowlands. It made it so that you get your normal ground mount at level 10, your fast ground mount at level 20, slow flight at 30, and fast flight at 40. Of course, that's all just via the regular flight trainer NPC in the home cities. Now that means it's important that you actually get this training on your character, especially the flight. Now, getting that training would normally require a bunch of travel time, but if you are doing Legion or you're doing Warlords of Draenor, you will get a second Hearthstone. That's the Garrison Hearthstone for WoD and the Dalaran Hearthstone for Legion. So what you can do then is you can just hearth back to your home city, learn whatever mount skill you're going to learn, and then say Garrison Hearthstone back to Draenor. That'll cut out a whole bunch of travel time, which will be pretty damn handy. Now, if you wanted to get really sweaty and try to go as fast as you could try using some of the speed boost potions. Now, to be honest, I would not bother with this personally, but you could use Sky Step potions and gun boots to move really fast. Maybe even some goblin gliders as well. But since you can fly at level 30, and getting to level 30 takes absolutely no time, I actually would not bother with those things. Leveling is just so fast you don't need to. Next, Leatrix Plus. It's a great, lightweight add-on that adds a few more options, including things like fast loot, as well as handling a few other things like automatically repairing gear and vendoring junk items, so I'd install that as well. Now, if you're leveling through the Cataclysm zones, I'd really recommend having NPC Scan, another add-on. It will light up when a rare mob is nearby, and that's good because those rare mobs actually grant you like half a quest worth of XP, so if they're there, you may as well use them. Now, what if you've got multiple characters to level? Of course then, be sure to log into all of them and park them at an inn at all times so they are getting that rested XP. I mean, if you're leveling up 3, 4, 5 characters, that is a hell of a lot of rested XP that you could be accruing, so absolutely make sure to do that and then combine those with the 6 set heirloom bonus. Also, if you have a boost in your account, perhaps through purchasing the new expansion, but you have multiple characters that you want to level, be sure to use your boost on a non-allied race character. And I say that because the unlock requirement for the allied race heritage armor sets is to level to level 50 without using a boost. So if you're going to do some leveling anyway, you may as well do your manual leveling on the allied race characters so that you can get the heritage armor set. For a few finishing thoughts then, as much as I have been talking about the pure speed today, it is worth saying that there are places other than Warlords of Draenor that have got a ton to offer, and broadly speaking, these changes mean that leveling, almost no matter where you do it, is very quick. But what absolutely is the fastest by a decent margin, but overall, leveling is not a crazy prospect in World of Warcraft these days. Now, Legion is actually quite brisk as well, especially if you skip the artifact weapon quests and just fly, straight down to Azuna. But doing Legion properly, artifact quests and all, is actually quite fun. And that will leave you with your class order hall unlocked, and a whole bunch of content to do, which could even pave the way for you doing something like getting your class mount, right? So that's like a unique reason to go and do that Legion content, because it is just sitting there in the game world, ready for you to enjoy. Northrend is a great example of a very immersive, beautiful place. The Cataclysm revamp zones, I think, are generally a high quality. Mists of Pandaria has got a fantastically built world that many people will love. So, as much as getting alts made and leveled as, humanly quick as possible is very nice, do remember the journey. Novelty helps us not get bored, and time tends to fly a bit faster when we're not bored. So leveling a second character in a little slower, but maybe a new place, that might actually be more enjoyable. Unless you're the sort of player who really enjoys speedrun type gameplay. And to be honest with you, I do enjoy that. So I kind of like playing and seeing if I can, level up even faster. But anyway, once you hit level 30, do note that that's when you could go and try some of those Cataclysm zones, because they become pretty damn fast. I'm talking about zones again like Loch Modan, Redridge, Tirisfal, Silverpine, Hillsbrad. They don't have the most quests in terms of raw numbers, but because they are scaled for ground mounts, but you have flight, like seriously, there's so little travel time. You move between the quests so quickly, and because they're older zones, the quests are more simple. I mean, especially Silverpine and Loch Modan, the pace of leveling in those is absolutely insane. So, once you're level 30, which you can attain super easily by doing like Warlords of Draenor through to, say, half of the zone of Gorgrond, then you could try to shake things up. Or alternatively, just continue into the zone of Talador, and you might even be level 60 by the end of Talador. Certainly, if not, you could just go do the bonus objectives in Spires of Iraq and Nagrand, as an example. But basically, there you have it, right? That is what you'll need to level up a fresh character for Dragonflight. All the things you've learned from this video, plus the Azeroth Autopilot add-on, and that's it. Other than any weird jiggery-pokery with, multiple WoW accounts and some of those advanced bizarre techniques that involve starter edition characters, which I will cover in a future video, this is the way to do it. I'm working that future video though, so I'll let you know when that's, out. And of course, once this expansion comes out, we will have a 60 through 70 video ready to help you get your alt army up to the new cap of 70. Till then, I hope you found this useful, good luck in your leveling endeavors, and we'll catch you next time.